Did you know that anthropogenic effects, or as we call them, human activities, can affect the water cycle? Hi, we are the Tribu del Agua, and for this video, we will be talking about the water cycle and how it can be affected by human interventions. But first, why is water essential? Water contains hydrogen and oxygen, the elements that make up life. The hydrosphere is the portion of the earth where water passes and is preserved. Whether it is liquid water on the surface or frozen water, rivers, lakes, groundwater, polar ice caps, and glaciers, or water vapor in the atmosphere. Now let me explain you what is water cycle, also known as the hydrologic cycle. Moist air cools as it rises and water vapor condenses to produce clouds. Moisture travels across the earth until it enters the atmosphere as precipitation. And when water hits the ground, one of the two things can happen. Some of it evaporates back into the atmosphere, or it penetrates the surface and becomes groundwater. Groundwater either seeps into the seas, rivers, and streams, or evaporates back into the atmosphere. Take note that the balance of water that remains on the Earth's surface is called the runoff, emptying into the lakes, rivers, and streams, carrying back to the oceans where the cycle begins again.
Our rivers, lakes, seas, and other water bodies are drowning in chemicals, waste, plastic, and other pollutants. Although water comprises 71% of the Earth's surface, however, just 0.3% of it is accessible and usable as fresh water for human use. In addition, the mineral concentration of drinkable water necessitates that the quality of fresh water in ground and surface systems be utmost of importance. The quality of ground and surface water in rural and urban environments is influenced by both natural and anthropogenic processes. As a result, water is becoming more limited or scarce as the global population increases. The causes of water contamination are many and may be both natural and anthropogenic. However, the most prevalent sources of water contamination are anthropogenic, including agricultural runoff, carrying fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides, herbicides, and other toxins into water bodies. Urban and rural stormwater runoff carries different oils, petroleum products, and other toxins. These often generate sheens on the surface of the water. Leaking sewage pipes may introduce chemicals such as chloroform and other toxins to the groundwater, polluting the surface water as well. Mining operations often include the crushing of rocks containing several traces of metals and sulfides. In the presence of precipitation water, the byproducts of mining operations may readily produce sulfuric acid. Foundries emit metals and other particulate materials directly into the atmosphere. Industrial discharges may contribute significantly to water pollution but are typically controlled nowadays. Leaks and spills result from the handling and storage of chemicals. They may happen at any time, and while they are often contained shortly after they happen, the potential of surface and groundwater contamination still persists. Ship accidents such as the Exxon Valdez accident, which released massive quantities of petroleum products into the ocean, are one example. Illegal waste discharges may still occur owing to the expensive cost of proper waste disposal. The ash particles generated by the burning of fossil fuels often include hazardous elements. Additionally, combustion will contribute a succession of oxides, including carbon dioxide, to the air and water. Even though lead has been banned from gasoline in many countries, vehicle emissions pollute the air with various tailpipe compounds that can end up in water bodies through deposition with precipitation water. Construction activities may discharge a variety of toxins into the ground, which may subsequently contaminate the groundwater. Plastic products and garbage in contact with water may decompose slowly, generating substances that are hazardous to human health and the environment. Sorry about that. Disposal of personal care items and home chemicals, including detergents and different cleaning solutions. This is a severe concern due to the unpredictability and difficulty of not controlling these discharges into water. each of us is responsible for minimizing this contribution to water contamination by restricting our use and disposal of these chemical products, by recycling as much as possible. Improper disposal of automobile batteries and other batteries have the potential to contaminate the groundwater underneath the landfill with a wide range of toxins. Animal waste, lastly, contributes to the biological contamination of waterways.
Following Chriselle's discussion on anthropogenic effects, let us now move on to invasive species. But first, what exactly is an invasive species? To give you some context, an invasive species is any living organism that is not native to an ecosystem and causes harm, such as an amphibian, plant, insect, fish, fungus, bacteria, or even an organism's seeds or eggs, meaning that they have the potential to affect the environment, the economy, and even human health. Now that you understand what invasive species are, let us look at some of the various species that might affect you and your environment. So, the species that you should look out for are, first, there's the cane toad. To warn you, cane toads have been spotted in the Philippines, so be cautious. In fact, there have been reports of its sightings in at least 24 major islands in the country, though it has not been recorded in the Palawan Island group. These species are dangerous due to their skin gland secretions called bufotoxin, which are very toxic and can sicken or kill animals that bite or feed on them. Furthermore, skin secretions can irritate the skin or burn the eyes of those who come into contact with them. As a result, if you plan to visit any of these 24 islands, keep an eye out for cane toads. Another invasive species that can be found in the country is the clown knifefish. It was first spotted in Laguna de Bay, Philippines in 2009 as a result of the floods caused by Typhoon Ondoy. Beware of these critters, as these hungry, fast-growing, and highly adaptable predators reproduce silently and begin to prey on their fish. In fact, clown knifefish have actually ripped a gash through Laguna's tilapia, bangus, and carp fisheries. The third is the European green crab. As its name suggests, these species can be found along the coast of Europe and North Africa. You may be wondering, why is it regarded as one of the many invasive species in the marine environment? Well, it has few predators, hunts, and eats its prey aggressively, damages seagrass, and outcompetes local species for food and habitat. Finally, before proceeding on to epigenetics, I'd want to mention several more invasive species such as killer algae, sea walnut, vein wrapple welt, zebra mussel, and others. So now you know what species to be on lookout for. Let us now move on to epigenetics. Maria?
Epigenetic mechanisms are heritable changes in gene activity, function, or expression without affecting the underlying DNA sequence. So a thorough understanding of whether and how environmental changes can induce epigenetic mechanisms and their relative importance as a directed strategy for coping with ecological changes instead of stochastic epimutations is critical for interpreting genomes under the influence of physiological factors. Because epigenetic systems may affect gene expression, a particular environmental stress situation might result in a phenotypic change, which is climate change. Climate change is now one of the major causes of freshwater transformation, with consequences such as changes in freshwater ecosystems composition, biodiversity, and functioning. Because of their critical role in gene-environment interactions, epigenetic processes have received increased attention in the context in recent years. Warmer temperatures, increased precipitation variability, and higher water salinities have been identified as the most significant derived stressors for freshwater ecosystems. Warmer temperatures cause ice sheet melting for permafrost deterioration and changes in evaporation and precipitation ratios. Warmer water temperatures reduce the quantity of dissolved oxygen in the water and cause a reduction in the habitat ranges of various aquatic creatures during their life cycle. The salinization of freshwater habitats, caused mainly by rising sea levels, is expected to have severe consequences for freshwater biodiversity. It affects the survival and reproduction of various species that are usually not tolerant of fluctuations in salt concentration. Even minor changes in salinity have been claimed or demonstrated to influence freshwater and brackish ecosystems by depleting biodiversity and altering their dynamics and functioning. Aside from the consistent climate change trends, it is important to note that increased unpredictability in derived stressors is projected over time. Overall, it is becoming increasingly clear that epigenetic systems play a role in species' evolutionary adaptation to climate change. However, the adaptation ability of freshwater population to climate change remains unknown, and both short and long-term research are required to elucidate the pathways and amount of the contribution by epigenetic processes.
The water cycle has an obvious effect on our existence as people. However, humans also have an impact on the water cycle. Dams, flood diversions, and depletion were hallmarks of the 20th century. Still, the 21st century can be the age of replenishment when we can put our ingenuity into acting in harmony with nature instead of conflicting with it. Everyone requires clean water for drinking, cleaning, and growing food. Safe water is a human right. Suppose you do have a supply of plenty of safe water. In that case, you have an excellent opportunity to begin thinking about methods by using less water and reducing your footprint on the water cycle. And there are several techniques to cut water use while maintaining enough water supplies for our fundamental requirements. Small steps toward lessening our impact on the water cycle and water resources begin with small, simple actions like avoiding polluting bodies of water and simple as turning off running water when not in use, since our actions as humans affect every process of the water cycle. Thank you for watching. Once again, we are the Tribu del Agua, and stay tuned for more episodes.